So good morning, everybody.
Good morning, sir.
Uh, out of 10, 7 students have joined so far. Ankesh Kumar, Pavan Kumar, and Shankho Mitra, they are not here. They have not joined so far. Now, in this semester, you have to solve two problems. The first problem, which we shall discuss today, that will be common for all. And today being 28th, I think, 28th of September. 28th of September, you have to submit it. Uh, this problem, after solving the problem, you have to submit it within November. I am telling you the date. Ninth November. Okay. Sumanto Pathak has joined. Is he in this group or he is with Shobon? This group only.
Yes, sir.
So up to Anirban Rai, they will be with Shobon Dalai. So 11 of you are here in this group. From roll number, from Sumanto Pathak to Shankho Mitra.
Yes, sir.
Hmm. Okay. Oh. So Sumanto Pathak to Pooja Datta, they are here in this group. Are 10 students. Pooja, yes. Okay. So you have already performed the experiment on study and calibration of impulse generator, isn't it? You have performed the experiment. You have already performed the experiment, though in
Yes, sir.
online mode. On the experiment, I mean, on the topic, or the name of the experiment was study and calibration of impulse voltage generator. You have done that experiment. In that experiment, you have seen that the impulse generator circuit is basically divided into three parts. The first part is your uh, DC charging circuit. The second part is voltage multiplier circuit, and the third part is your wave shaping circuit. Now, in the DC charging circuit, if you remember, you used a peak voltmeter, isn't it?
Yes.
Which measures the peak value of the voltage which is being input to the multiplier circuit, first stage of the multiplier circuit. If you remember. So our first problem will be to design one peak voltmeter circuit, which can measure up to 200 kV peak voltage. Now here, if you remember the DC charging circuit, you will find that the DC charging circuit was basically a voltage doubler circuit, after which there was a resistance and capacitance, and after the capacitance, basically, which is charged to 175 kV peak voltage, there was a resistance through which there was a milliammeter. This high resistance is connected in series with the milliammeter, sorry, so that it acts as a voltmeter, right? And we all know that any ammeter, when connected with a very high input impedance, it acts as a voltmeter. Alternatively, a voltmeter connected with a very low value of shunt acts as an ammeter. So here this principle is employed that uh, that an ammeter in series with a high resistance is acting as a voltmeter which measures the peak voltage. So I'll first request you to design a circuit which is capable of developing 200 kV peak value, 200 kV peak voltage. The first part of the circuit will be like this, with which you have to add the adequate uh, circuit parameters like capacitance, resistance, etc., and obviously a milliammeter, which will act as the voltmeter. Finally, so this is all about the circuit. So this circuit you have to design. You can take help of many circuit. I mean, there are many softwares which can be used to design and develop circuits like this. So you can take help of any such softwares. I have no problem, but you have to do it and submit it within uh, which date we have specified, 9th November. So that is the thing. I think if you have any question regarding the problem, you can ask me, and in the after the first problem we shall solve another problem which will be which will be based on softwares, etc. So this is your first problem, and second problem will be this one. In between, if you need any discussion, consultation, etc., you can tell me. We shall arrange classes, and if you are free, then next week 11:30 we can have another class, so that you can mm, go through, or you can try for some softwares for your help, and if you find any problem we can discuss next week. And now if you have any questions regarding the problem, you can ask me. Yes, yes, you have to simulate it on the software. You can use MATLAB, you can use PSpice, whatever you like. Whichever. Pardon. It depends. It depends on the user. Uh, Whichever you find convenient, you can use. No problem. Any other question? Tell me. The approach should be like this. You have one input voltage. Let that input voltage be single phase AC voltage, 0 to 230 volts. Again, you consider a variac at the input, using which you can change the input voltage within the range 0 to 230 volts. Now, 230 volt is the highest value of the input voltage. So when the input voltage will be 230 volt, then the output of the voltage doubler circuit should be 200 kV. This is your first logic. So accordingly, you have to select one auto transformer or variac which will give you this variation, provide you this variation between 0 to 230 volt. Next is you have to find suitable capacitors which will be able to charge, since this is a voltage doubler circuit and the maximum voltage is 200 kV. Therefore, there will be two. If you remember the voltage doubler circuit or the DC charging circuit, there were two capacitors which were charged, and sum total of the charges of these two capacitors were allowed to flow through a forward bias diode to charge another capacitor, across which the total voltage, that is 200 kV, will appear. Therefore, the two capacitor, you need the capacitors, two capacitors, both should be able to be charged at 200 kV peak value. Similarly, you need two diodes. One will conduct in one half cycle, the other will conduct in another half cycle. So the ratings of the diode should be properly selected. And if you remember, there was a resistive part which allowed the conduction or flow of the electrons to the ground. All these things were there. There was a gas field protector tube to prevent the circuit from being damaged due to over voltage. So those parts, that is resistance part for providing a path of the electrons to ground, and the gas field protector tube. These things you may just omit during your first attempt to just design the basic circuit. That is auto transformer, then two diodes, one capacitor, and then after that there should be another capacitor which will be charged to 200 volts, 200 kV, obviously, and thereafter another one resistance and the meter. So this part you first design. Thereafter, the fine tunings, that is addition of these resistances, gas field protector tubes, can be considered afterwards. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So this part you do. Now, if you have any other question, you can tell me. Okay. So when can we meet next time? When can we meet next? You just check it. Now, if you can tell me the date, then we can schedule the class today itself. Otherwise, you have to let me know afterwards, and we have to schedule it later on. Okay, okay, no problem. And what about Ankesh Kumar? Most probably, I have to give him a separate problem since he has not joined today. No, no. Where does he stay?
না সেরকম জানি না কিছু।
ও কোথায় থাকে সেটা জানো না?
Sir, Bihar, Patna.
হ্যাঁ, পাটনা,
Yes, sir.
বিহার. Okay, talk to him. Talk to him and let me know. Saturday you have a class at 7:30. Okay. So what is the situation of placement this year? What is the scenario? In which sector? Software, IT, or core? Now Ankesh Kumar has joined. Though Patna is not very far from Kolkata, but yet it takes some time compared to the others. So he has taken that time and joined late. Ankesh, what happened?
Sir, I was giving offline exam. That's why I was not able to.
You are giving an offline exam. Which exam?
Sir, off campus means the off campus exam, sir, uh,
For
for
placement.
a for a company.
Placement. For placement.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the problem I have already given, you talk to your friends. Basically, you have to first design a peak voltmeter circuit which will be able to read or record 200 kV peak voltage. Okay.
Okay, sir. I will ask them later.
What will be the approach that I have already initial approach I have discussed with them? You have to consider input voltage variation between 0 to 230 volt. You have to use one auto transformer for that. And when the input voltage is 230 volt, corresponding output voltage should be 200 kV DC, right?
Okay, sir.
And you have to use one milliammeter in series with a high resistance as peak voltmeter. In between, the voltage doubler circuit, as you studied in your third year classes, and also in connection with the DC charging circuit of impulse voltage generator, that has to be there, and you have to design that part initially. That I have said, and 9th November you have to submit the report on this part, and after that to we shall have to solve another problem which will be software based. And meanwhile, we shall meet one day to discuss about your progress and problems, and that day will be confirmed by Anish tomorrow. Okay, then, if you have any other question, then can we stop here today, or if you want to discuss anything else, you can tell me. Yes, yes, you can conclude. Okay. Then thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.